Welcome back to the Modeling and Wellbeing podcast, where you can learn the ins and outs of modeling and also gain tips to better care for your holistic well-being. This is your girl, Larissa, and this space is designed for us to learn, grow, and empower one another. So, Lego. All right. I know in episode 2, I mentioned that we will continue the conversation about model agencies. And trust me, that's coming next. But hear me out. I felt called to sneak in this specific topic about emotional health after honestly a very powerful group conversation that I had at work. And afterwards, I was like, oh my gosh. I have to share more broadly about this because it's so impactful. October is Depression and Mental Health Awareness Month. Yes, May is also Mental Health Awareness Month. And it brings up so much for me personally. And although the topic of mental health has been somewhat more normalized now, many people are still struggling to grasp how to care for their mental and emotional health, how to ask for help, or even finding spaces to just be, to just vent, and not to be told that they're overreacting, right? Why am I not happy? Why can't I just be happy? You probably heard this before, either from yourself, from family, from friends, or maybe it's, wait a minute, hold up. Things are just too perfect. Why are things happening like this that are good? Joy or happiness feels strange sometimes too. I am finishing a book by Lauren Martin. It's called The Book of Moods. And throughout the whole book, this one specific thing was so insightful for me and just has stuck with me so much. The book is basically about describing the difference between a mood and an emotion. And when I learned that, I was like, what? Like, aren't they the same? Well, not quite. Neuroscientists have confirmed that emotional responses last for up to 90 seconds. And a mood is what you feel after those 90 seconds. Like mind blown, right? A neuroanatomist, Dr. Jill Bolts Taylor, wrote this. She said, once my anger is triggered, the chemical released by my brain surges through my body, and I have a physiological experience. Within 90 seconds from the initial trigger, the chemical component of my anger has completely dissipated from my blood, and my automatic response is over. If I remain angry after those 90 seconds has passed, then it's because it was my choice. Like, what? I know we've heard the saying, we can choose our happiness or we can choose to stay a certain way, but to literally have the research to back that up feels cool and also strange. It feels somewhat encouraging too, because we've also heard that we are in control of our reality and we can design a life that brings us joy, love, and fulfillment. When we think about all that our world goes through, all that our friends, that our family, and us as individuals go through, it's a reminder that there's light on the other side of the tunnel. Check this out. 1 in 5 Americans will experience a mental illness in a given year, and this includes children too. This means that 43.8 million adults experience mental illness in a given year. 16 million American adults live with major depression, and 42 million adults live with anxiety disorders. Depression is the leading cause of disability worldwide and is a major contributor to the global burden of disease. Whoa, right? Emotional health is real, y'all. You ever experienced times when you're stressed or overwhelmed or emotionally fatigued, then all of a sudden you start to feel sick or you get a headache or your brain is foggy? When I get worried, When I get stressed or feel really overwhelmed, the first thing that I notice is that I get nauseous or I start to feel sick, like a really bad headache. I just don't feel good. I'm like, I don't really know where it came from. I just don't feel good, right? I remember when I was in the process of moving out of the state, and on top of working full time and modeling for, I'm gonna say, like 3 to 6 months straight, I had to manage every single detail. Then, my sister and I, we drove 15 hours down south. We had to unload the car when we got here. Next day, her friend from Memphis met us, and I personally chose the option to ship all my furniture using a U-Haul box. And so, same day, we grabbed those items with the U-Haul truck and unloaded everything. It was a lot. It was a lot. Next time, I'm definitely taking my grandma's advice to hire movers. Look, if you don't got the resources, hire some movers. And I'm laughing now, but in the moment, by the time we started to set up the furniture the following day, I was extremely irritable. I was just not myself. I'll say I was acting like a bitch. I'm gonna keep it real. And I kept asking myself in the moment, I'm like, what's wrong with you? Why are you feeling like this? Like, what's wrong, Larissa? This is not you. Why are you talking with this tone? Like, you're usually having really good energy. And the answer was simple. It was stress and mental fatigue. The scientific answer, well, my brain was freaking out. Stress affects our brain's ability to think clearly, to make decisions. Elevated cortisol, or stress, aka stress, is connected to parts of the brain even shrinking, called brain atrophy. And remember that our body is one, and one area always affects the other. I'm sure many of you had similar experiences. And one of the biggest points that Lauren Martin makes in her book is that she really realized that she can become more aware of her emotions and feelings, first by understanding her triggers. What triggered that emotion? Then setting boundaries around those triggers. With that being said, I want to do a quick exercise together just to bring more awareness to your emotions and to help you reflect on those personal experiences that you may have had and identifying your triggers. You can grab paper or maybe reflect mentally if you might be driving. It might also help to pause in between the prompts too. Whatever you do, I just need you to be 100% honest with yourself. Remember, this is not a space of judgment, and be you. Give yourself grace. Write down or think of one recent or current stressful or emotional experience that has had you worried, feeling off, and not yourself. What have you felt, or what are you currently feeling in your body? And now I want you to rate that pain or feeling on a scale 1 through 10. 1 being, oh, it wasn't that bad and it's manageable. And 10 being, Larissa, that took me out. Rate your pain on a scale 1 through 10. Let's dig a bit deeper into that experience you're having or that you had recently. And for the sake of just being transparent and open, I will continue with my moving experience that I shared with you a little earlier through each of these questions. The first question that I want you to think about and write down or reflect on is, was this in your control or was it out of your control? From my moving experience, I would say that was entirely in my control. Then I want you to say to yourself, I give myself grace. For me, talking to Larissa, I give myself grace. Next, try to identify what exactly triggered you. Was it how a person made you feel in that situation, or did a familiar trauma come to mind? Personally, Throughout the process of moving, a lot of feelings came up. I thought of similar past experiences from college and many responsibilities that I just kind of had to take on and run with and figured out myself. How many people around me didn't quite acknowledge or understand the heavy lifting that I was doing, and those feelings of, people feel inconsiderate of this situation of mine. What specific emotions came up for you when you were triggered? Was it feelings of abandonment, disappointment, betrayal, or sadness? For me, almost in a sense, I felt alone because in my head, I was like, well, this is a journey that I decided to go on. It's no one else's responsibility. So you're on your own. Then eventually it turned into fatigue, feelings of being overwhelmed, irritable, and tired. What are two actions that you could have done to help you manage those emotions or your current emotions that you're feeling from that experience? For me, journaling is my baby. I love to journal. It helps me get all of my core emotions and feelings out. I love to see my emotions on paper. In my move situations, journaling was a big help. I definitely think that I should have and could have done time management better, and that would have alleviated a lot more stress. I also learned in general for this step that a lot of people enjoy physical touch. I've heard that people love a nice long hug from a friend or partner to the point where they can actually feel themselves relax from that stressful situation. The last step that I want you to take and reflect on from your experience, I want you to write down or think about what you could have done to cope with the situation in a healthy way. Is it setting boundaries? I kind of alluded to this from my experience with moving, but time management was big for me. And also asking for more help. I got to do a better job at that. Asking for more help and pacing myself better. This exercise can definitely come in handy in almost all scenarios, a lot of experiences that we go through. It truly does encompass how can we reflect and manage our mental health, and more importantly, that self-awareness and how we show up and can better care for ourselves. Asking ourselves, what do we need? Giving ourselves a moment to feel and give ourselves grace. Honestly, too, when we're feeling great about life, we can use this exercise to truly reflect on our positive moments and learn and be aware of what fuels and motivates us too. It doesn't always have to be used for when things are bad or when we're feeling upset about life. I think the biggest learning that I've taken away from as I've matured is just really being aware that mental and emotional health, it's almost a skill to be aware of those things. It's an exercise to be aware of your emotional EQ. I didn't really understand that until I would say after high school and after college, and after a lot of moments and situations of struggling, until I realized, like, oh, yep, you have to work on that. It just doesn't come to you, Larissa, naturally, like it might come to others. And just understanding and realizing that it's okay to feel, it's okay to reflect, it's okay to give yourself space. And so, yeah, we don't always have to have it together every single little moment. It's all right. And being aware of how you're projecting your emotions onto others. This exercise helps you realize when you might be doing that too. As we wrap up, again, I want to reiterate, and I just love saying this because many of us feel like we're alone. And I want to say that you are not alone. And If doing a self reflection to get a hold of your mental and emotional health is hard, remember that you can ask for help. You can talk to a friend, a family member. You can consider therapy, which honestly, it's kind of cool. It's a cool experience that I've went through because since they don't know you or your history and background, they are coming from a place of being non-judgmental and can provide suggestions without making it about them. I found my therapist on therapyforblackgirls.com. So I'll drop that in the bio of this session or episode. And that's a great resource too. So, overall, how are you feeling? Was this helpful for you? I love, sharing a lot of these touchy feeling insights and all that because personally, I just wish I had known about these things to normalize my personal experiences when I was younger. And so it's an honor to be in this space with you. It's an honor to share these, things with you as well. And hopefully you can continue to spread the message and normalize that, hey, we all go do the same things at the end of the day. Okay, so let's get in some affirmations, shall we? At the end of each episode, we are going to recite affirmations together. Affirmations are designed to help you become aware of your personal strengths and values. When you are able to note your strengths, it can be a game changer for improving your self awareness and building confidence. Repeat after me. I respect my boundaries. I can do all that I set my mind to. My mind is powerful and healthy. Thank you all so much for tuning in today. I love you all and I appreciate you for your support. I'll be dropping an episode once a week, so don't forget to follow this podcast to stay alert on those new episodes. And of course, let's connect. Follow me on Instagram as at Rissa Snugs, RISASNUGGS, for fun additional content. Love you all, XOXO, and see you next time. Bye.